Hey guys, what's up? Faramar here. So today I'm going to be going over how to AoE per request from one of my viewers, Borgerman. He says that he's sometimes able to, knock the charts out of there, out of the water, but other times it falls a little flat. So I'm going to try and help you guys come up with some consistent rotation for your AoE. This is primarily helpful in Mythic Plus as well as, um, you know, trash clearing and raids. But there are some fights where this might be applicable as well. So your typical talents that you're going to run for this are going to be Sabretooth, along with Primal Wrath, and then Soul of the Forest. You can run Savage Roar, it's just slightly less optimal, and I think that from my experience, it's a little bit underwhelming. So, I think that Primal Wrath with Soul of the Forest is going to be your best bet. Another thing to note is I'm running Primal Wrath instead of Brutal Slash, as well as I'm running Sabretooth instead of Predator. So what Sabretooth instead of Predator is going to give you is a little bit extra boss damage. So when you're in your dungeon and you're going through, Sabretooth is going to allow you to pick up the damage in the boss fights, and Primal Wrath is going to give you the leverage that you need to really excel in your trash fights. Another thing to know about Sabretooth that's very important for your AoE damage actually is when your targets are dwindling, right? So I'll go over some other stuff here in a second, but yeah, Sabretooth will allow you to keep your rips up on targets when your target numbers are lower. So let's go ahead and get into the rotation then. So there's some things that need to be noted, right? And one is the number of enemies that you're reversing. Two is the strength of enemies that you're reversing. So the number of enemies you're reversing, very easy rule of thumb, right, is going to be maintain, when you're versing 3 or less targets, you're going to maintain your Thrash. This is going to be your first cast pretty much every single time, unless you have a Blood Talons with a few combo points, in which case it's going to be Primal Wrath. But let's say we're going into a fresh Trash, okay? So with 3 targets, what you're going to do is you're going to always cast Regrowth for your Blood Talons, and then you're going to come in, you're going to open with a Stealth into a Rip, right? Very next thing you're going to cast is a Thrash into a Tiger's Fury into a Primal Wrath. Then something that is very important to note is you want to keep your rakes up on all 3 targets or 2 targets. This is, remember, for 3 or less. Then you're going to use all of your predatory swiftness procs or your blood talons on your primal wraths. I accidentally messed up there, but you get the gist. This is going to allow you to pump out the most damage possible for 3 or less targets, okay? Another thing to note, right, is let's say you accidentally use your Predator Swiftness, okay, and you come up short on combo points. Let's say you have 1 Blood Talons proc left and you've got 3 combo points or 4 combo points. It's still worth it to use Primal Wrath over another swipe, right? So you want to leverage your Blood Talons on your Primal Wraths as much as possible, because that's going to keep up the empowered rips, okay? The only difference is going to be the upfront damage of your Primal Wrath, which is going to be the 1,300 to 4,200 damage, right? So just keep that noted. You always want your rips to be fully buffed, which is Blood Talons with Tiger's Fury when possible. Okay, against 4 or more targets, you're no longer going to try and maintain Rake on everything. You are simply going to, you're going to cast your Regrowth before the Trash Mob, you're going to open with a Rake, right, because you want that empowered bleed, and then you're going to Thrash, and you're just going to pump the damage, right? So basically you're just going to Primal Wrath into swipe, into a Blood Talons, into a Primal Wrath, into a Thrash to make sure that you maintain that, right? And you're just going to keep doing that. Alright, once the targets start dwindling, alright, and this is where the Sabretooth comes into play, okay, and this is also, let's say you're versing 4 or more targets, right, but only, 3 of those targets are actually going to live for any extended amount of time, right? In which case, you want to make sure that you are adjusting your strategy, right? So once you have targets that are dwindling from 4 or more, and all of a sudden they're at 3 or less, you're going to begin adjusting your strategy. So you're going to want to start primal wrathing, maintaining your thrash, but then you're going to want to start maintaining your rips or your rakes as well. Okay, and then let's say that there's 2 more targets and they are just, you know, really difficult, right? I missed mine there because I was kind of in the middle of talking, but let's say that 3rd target dies all of a sudden. You're only down to 2 targets. Once you're down to 2 or less targets, you no longer want to use Primal Wrath. It's no longer optimal to use Primal Wrath. Then you will maintain your Rip with your rakes and your thrashes, and you will always use swipe as long as if you have more than 1 target, you always want to use thrash and you always want to use swipe or brutal slash, right? So that's a general rule of thumb as well to keep in mind. If you have 1 or 2 or more targets, you always want to use swipe instead of shred, and you always want to use thrash and maintain thrash. So anyways, that is a short little tidbit video. Compliments of Borgamon for requesting that in my stream tonight. So thank you, Borgamon. I hope this helped. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave some feedback down below. Appreciate it.